Hi guys, I hope you're having an awesome day today. In this video, I'm going to be doing some love notes from your person. This is going to be a message cards only reading, and there are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Chalcedony heart. Group 2 is the golden healer quartz heart. And group 3 is the red glass heart. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Chalcedony heart. So let's see, what does your person want you to know right now from their higher self? Okay, so the first one that we have is your energy is intoxicating and it's pulling me in. So this is somebody who wants to get to know you more, wants to create more quality time together. They may be looking for an excuse to reach out, kind of trying to think of interesting things to say, things that are going to help them to sort of stand out from other potential suitors, other people that you might be talking to at this time, or that have their eye on you in terms of secret admirers or, people that might be getting ready to approach. There's a sense that this person likes your guardedness and the mystery of not knowing, like, how full is your dance card? Do you have a roster? Do you have like multiple talking stages going on? Like, where do they fit in terms of how you are evaluating their long-term potential in terms of being a mate, being a partner, being a boyfriend or a girlfriend? They're thinking in terms of like, I don't just want a temporary situation with you. I don't want this to just be sort of a fleeting experience with one another. I want to create more relevance for you and to make myself somebody that, as you are choosing who you're going to invite closer into your reality or you're going to align with further as far as romance is concerned, that they're a top contender or ideally like your first choice. We also have you're the only one I see. So it feels like if this person had other people that they were talking to, maybe lines of communication that were open with exes, for example, there's a sense that they've distanced themselves from these people. They've cut off some of these circumstances. Maybe for some, they've just ghosted people. They've deleted social media or different apps where they were like talking to people. They may even be, kind of like gently sort of distancing themselves or getting very cold, kind of stonewalling other people so that they are at the ready to progress forward with you in a more mutually exclusive way, should you choose to, kind of pursue that with them. Again, there's a sense that you're playing your cards very close to the chest. They're not certain in terms of like, what are your intentions? What are your kind of feelings about the effort that they've shown so far, and if there's hope for the situation moving forward. So without making like a dramatic show of things or, kind of outwardly announcing to you like, yeah, I had all these other people I was talking to, or, people from the past that I was kind of waiting on their return. It's like they're quietly sort of shutting those doors. And, maybe the most obvious thing might be if they were like on dating apps, for example, they're deactivating their profiles. They're, kind of deleting things off of social media that might have given indicators that they were single, that they were, interested in kind of meeting people. They're trying to give you, or will be starting to give you, subtle and kind of indirect signals of like they're concentrating their energy on making the most of the experience with you. So this may be somebody as well that's gearing up to, kind of start communicating more, trying to reach out more, kind of be a little more forthcoming in terms of when you are talking, when you're interacting with one another, when you're spending time with one another, to make things a little more interesting, to be a little more enthusiastic and looking at it less like a job interview or, something where you're kind of getting to know one another on just kind of the surface level. There's like more personal, intimate details that they're wanting to share with you that is a way of this person sort of softening into the experience with you. We also have, you don't realize how perfect you are to me. Yeah, so you've checked off all of these boxes as far as what it is that they're looking for. They may have kind of taken some time to sort of evaluate the situation, a series of kind of tests that they may have had about you in this circumstance. Not that you needed to like prove your worth and value, but something about you might have seemed a little too good to be true. And there's a sense that this person might have some fears of commitment, or what they are feeling for you is starting to be very intense. And so they're trying to make sure that how things are progressing, how they're showing up, is not a repeat of patterns in previous romances or things that might have seemed to have some potential for them in the future, only to bottom out at some particular point in time. There's a sense that this person's like, I don't want to go down that road again. I don't want to have that same result happen in this circumstance. So I'm going to learn from my mistakes in the past, and rather than kind of just rushing headlong into something, I'm going to pump the brakes at different points in time, just to sort of make sure that, yeah, under circumstances of pressure and when things are really easy and flowing very nicely between the two of us, that I can show up and not get scared, that you're showing up in the best or the most of what you have to offer, both when it's easy to kind of compromise or sort of meet in the middle with one another, and in times where there may have been some silence between the two of you that would have sort of left the both of you to your own devices, in your own thoughts, anything as far as like fear surfacing, or even kind of memories of the past, in terms of this person really wanting to make sure doors to the past are shut, so that they are able to invest with you fully. And mostly it feels like kind of summoning their fears to the surface, that idea of like something being too good to be true, in order to kind of confront that and push forward through that fear anyway, in order to explore the deeper potential here in this situation with you. They also say, I know we belong together. Yeah, so every time they're communicating with you, there's like something that you say, something in your tone of voice, even times when you're being a little sassy, a little spicy. You're not kind of, just being a yes person and everything's agreeing, with them. They like when you are outspoken. They like when you're opinionated. They like when you sort of demonstrate your own autonomy within this situation. It helps them to understand that you're somebody with a personality. You're someone with your own goals. You're someone with your own mind. You're not just kind of telling them what they want to hear, or trying to just sort of, placate their ego in any sort of way. Like that you are a real and genuine person with layers to you, all of which are very pleasing or even very intriguing. There might even be parts about you or things that have happened, any kind of little disagreements that you could have had that might have triggered this person's ego. And it feels like if they needed to sort of take a step back and sit within that sort of flustered energy, they're coming back in, or they've gone through kind of a process of this, or it's happened a couple times already, where it's not presenting as like a red flag and like, oh, I think we're too incompatible, we're too different, I should just run for the hills and kind of close this situation out. It's something where you challenge this person in a way that others have not, but in like a positive and healthy sort of way. You challenge this person to sort of step beyond the boundaries of kind of what they've been attracted to in the past, how other romantic partners or people that they've been in talking stages with, or they've dated, how those kind of people have showed up. There's a sense that you are encouraging kind of more of a multifaceted version of them to come to the surface, which they find very attractive. And I'm hearing you're a keeper, so they definitely see you as somebody that, they want to create more forward momentum with you. They want something more long term. They want to get to know you more. Okay, yeah, we also have, I sabotaged our connection out of insecurity. So they are very consciously aware that they may have put some pressure on this situation or given you like a mixed signal. Things might have been going really well, and all of a sudden they pulled back their energy. And there's a sense of you responded with like some healthy boundaries. You didn't chase this person. You might have kind of given them some space. You might have, addressed the situation outright, but this isn't something where you were just going to kind of dim your light or sort of mute yourself down for their benefit. You might have, kind of responded to this behavior on their part with something, equal and equivalent. You gave them a taste of their own medicine in some sort of way, and it might have humbled them or, again, kind of triggered their ego in some way, but they've come out of that bruised kind of energy, and there's a sense of like, this is the type of person that I need in my life. Somebody that is not going to just tolerate when I'm coming forward with this kind of BS, when I'm giving mixed signals, when I'm being kind of emotionally immature, or if I'm overwhelmed by the nature of the circumstance, or like this too good to be true kind of energy, that you're not someone that's just going to sit there like a doormat and kind of take that. You're able to dish it out as well. And so anything you've given them as far as an ultimatum, or maybe you've just been not as available to them in response to kind of what it is that they've done at a certain particular point in time in terms of like static or inconsistency in your communication, there's a sense of almost like the way you've handled that, and that you've required, maybe even wordlessly, for them to sort of figure that out on their end and come back to you when they can come correct. This is something that is very attractive. It's very appealing. It's helping them to understand that, like, your worth and value. You're a high valued person. You got the bar set very high as far as who gets access to you. You value your time and energy. You're not going to put up with any nonsense. And so this is something that it feels like is helping them to kind of explore aspects within, like, why would I self-sabotage? Why would I, feel that whatever had been said, whatever had been presented, that there was like a catch to it, or that it wasn't like totally true, or that this was in some way a bad thing. The level of honesty that this person gave, you might have been very honest about something, and rather than them sort of valuing that honesty, they could have like pulled back or gone cold on you. And rather than you sort of chasing them, or kind of getting all bent out of shape about it, it's almost like you said, okay, be that way, and you just sort of carried on. You put up those boundaries. You didn't respond to them with anything that was very chaotic, but it might have almost been, like a coldness that you responded to them with. And so you've really sort of held this person accountable in a way that it feels like maybe nobody has done, or in a way that's almost like they didn't know that they needed that, because it's helped them to sort of look at their shortcomings, what they were bringing to the table that was maybe some woundedness, in order to be able to sort of find a workaround for that, so that they can get back on point with you, and start to enjoy more of your experiences with one another. We also have, we are destined to be together. Yeah, so this is something that if you've had some kind of like hiccups in your communication in any sort of way, anything where it was like spotty communication, or again, like this person, might have kind of, things were going really well, and then they were triggered by something, and all of a sudden sort of they changed up on you. This is somebody that is kind of like, they don't want to come back in all nonchalant and just sort of like, hey, how's it going? Let me just act like nothing happened. No, this is somebody that wants to address that elephant in the room, and it's kind of like, okay, this is going to require sort of a different approach in order to get back in this person's good graces, or, to kind of prove that I am a worthy and reasonable choice for like a long-term partnership. Because all relationships, they go through their ups and downs. Relationships of all kinds are tested when things don't go well. And so this person is almost looking at something that they've done, like on their part. This is a test. This is an opportunity for this person to show up in a different way, to really fight for this connection, fight for a space in your life in more of a long-term sense, because they see you're someone, again, with good boundaries. You can hold your own. You're not coming across as like clingy or codependent. And these are all the qualities that they are looking for, that they are wanting, that they have tried to manifest in a partnership. And now here you are in the flesh, in the real world. And this is almost kind of like a moment of reckoning for them. Like they've called something into their reality, this experience, but they weren't necessarily ready for it. So this is somebody who's trying to like ready themselves, trying to, take more of a calm, cool, collected approach to something that might have been an emotional trigger or like a triggering circumstance for the two of you, in order to be able to kind of build in a better direction as far as your communication. Because they see you're not somebody that's going to waste your time. You're not somebody that's going to tolerate sort of emotionally immature people or back and forth. You know who you are. You know what you want out of life. And so this person has gotten the message loud and clear that they need to come with that type of clarity within themselves as well, or, you'll just keep your options open. We also have, I know more than you think. Yeah, so this person has done some introspecting. They've done some soul searching. They've kind of like looked at themselves in the mirror, and they may even be taking accountability in some sort of way, either by forgiving themselves for kind of things that happened in past relationships, that it's like, I did the best I could with the tools I had available at the time, and here's an opportunity with you to do something different, to move in a different direction, to show up in a different way, that similar circumstances could have showed up with previous people. They were triggered, they ran with that wound, and it collapsed the potential. Here you are in this circumstance, and whatever has unfolded maybe recently between the two of you, that has this person very certain, like, I want to make sure that you understand that although, we may have our ups and downs, like I want something long-term with you. I want to prove to you that I'm interested in sort of something more than a temporary experience. I don't want to be like written out of your life because I can't show up consistently in an emotional way. So they've really been kind of looking at that. Like, what's the pattern? How is this familiar? How has this appeared in other relationships? And that I know that this is a deal breaker. This is something that damages the stability and strength of connections. What can I do in this circumstance and situation to kind of give peace to those previous versions of me that like fumbled other circumstances, by looking at the situation with you as an opportunity for like a second chance at love, or a chance to kind of right the wrongs of the past by showing up different in this circumstance than they did at earlier times in their life or with other people where they were more immature. They didn't have kind of the knowledge and information, or even access to knowledge and information, to be able to, understand concepts like wounding and, fears of commitment and attachment styles, and maybe doing a lot of research as far as that's concerned, and kind of illuminating paths to healing by putting names to these wounds, identifying these things. And so it feels like all of that is in the interest in creating something better with you, something more with you, bringing more to the table than they have. We also have, you will hear from me soon. So they definitely want to reach out to either give an apology if that is owed, or kind of like if your communication hasn't been totally interrupted with one another, this is somebody that wants to be more expressive. They want to be more emotional. They want to hold space for you to express yourself. This is somebody that may have a hard time kind of defining their own emotions at times, and so it's hard for them to show up for other people when they're being emotional, or when they're talking about things that hold deep emotional meaning. That could be painful things, that could be hopes and dreams for the future, anything that may be like an emotionally charged experience. That's something that for whatever reason, makes this person feel very vulnerable, very insecure. They may have dealt with a lot of chaotic people in their past, and so they're needing to sort of separate chaos from passion. You may have expressed something in a very impassioned way, and that woundedness within could have like sort of tapped them on the shoulder, reminded them of people they dealt with before who were just kind of walking tornadoes, were these balls of chaos that, you know, led to a lot of destruction. Within their own life or within kind of their view of love or emotionally. And so they're separating the experiences from the past with the experience they have with you and trying to kind of bring more of themselves to this very present moment so that you're not having to kind of live in the shadow of all of these woundedness within them, so that this connection has the ability to really kind of have progress forward with a clear perspective of like, these are the patterns in my life. This is my tendency. This is, you know, certain things happen and this is my reaction. This is somebody who's wanting to lean into more of a response aspect within themselves, to respond to the situations that have happened, respond to those triggers within themselves. And so it feels like you may get some surprising communication in terms of a degree of like self-awareness that they bring to the table. Either they've, you know, taken certain things you said to heart and they're changing their communication style, or there may be things that they're sharing with you that helps to give you some kind of perspective about like where they're coming from, so that you can give them more kind of like patience or allowance as they're going through this process of trying to like rise to meet you on that higher level of experience or interaction. We also have, I do want us to be in a relationship. Yeah, so this person, you are very meaningful to them. You matter to them. The times you spend with one another is very important. So they're wanting to do whatever that it takes in order to make you aware on different levels, even if that means like kind of closing out ways in which their energy's been spread very thin, or they've kept doors of possibility open between themselves and like other people they were dealing with previously, or anyone they have been like talking to still. If you have just been in sort of like a situationship or a talking stage, there's been nothing official between the two of you. This is somebody that like wants to start laying that groundwork to build towards something more permanent between the two of you. It's almost like if they had options, they're choosing you and this circumstance. And so the way in which it feels like they're going to lean into the process of making that known is something that is demonstrated by way of an improvement in their communication with you. So let's get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got H, N, O, C, S, V, C, U, H, A, U, R, E, B, O, and G. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you'd like a personal reading, there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another video. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the Golden Healer Quartz. So let's see, what does your person want you to know right now from their higher self? Okay, and we have I knew it all along. So this is somebody, it feels like, that has been fighting their feelings for you for quite some time. If you've been in separation from this person, they may have tried to date other people, tried to kind of just push the memories of you away, try to tell themselves that your connection wasn't that deep, it wasn't that important, if, you know, it was kind of difficult and they gave up too soon on this situation, or maybe you're the one that walked away. They've tried to just tell themselves it is what it is, just wasn't meant to be. And they keep circling back around to the realization that they've tried to like find the experience with you, with other people, and they failed miserably each and every time. If this is somebody that you've never been in like an actual relationship with, you've maybe tried dating and, you know, it's been hard to connect, it's been hard to kind of have consistency with this person. There's a sense of almost like when they are with you, they feel that they are lovable as they are, the messy parts of them, the parts that are perfect. And there's a sense of almost like they've never experienced not having to like perform for love, not having to be very self-conscious or like hide parts of themselves away. That when they're with you, there's a sense of like, I can be myself. I'm invited to be very authentic because that's the vibe that you bring to the table. And there's almost a sense of this person fearing what that experience would have been like with you romantically, because it's nothing they've ever known before. So they feel like a novice in your presence, which it feels like has been very triggering to their ego, and it's caused them to kind of like push away these feelings, or, you know, tell themselves, well, maybe we're good as friends, but, you know, that certainly nothing could work as far as romance is concerned, or, you know, we're too much alike, and that would just be something that wouldn't work in the end. You know, you need opposites attracting in order to balance one another out. And there's a sense of so many similarities between the two of you that there's a sense of like, at times they might even get kind of annoyed or frustrated with themselves. And it's like, if I feel that way about myself at times, if it's hard for me to love myself or accept myself or be very tolerant with myself at times, why would I expect another person to do that? Why would I expect then that somebody that feels right, that it feels the vibe is natural, we're so similar, we're so alike, why would that be something then that works? Shouldn't inevitably you get to this point of being like annoyed or frustrated with me in the same ways that I am with myself at times? So they've been really like up in their head as far as trying to come up with reasons for a while to kind of keep you at arm's length or to keep their back turned to this situation. But those walls are crumbling. This is somebody who's like surrendering to these feelings and like, okay, maybe this connection can turn into something very beautiful. Maybe you're my happily ever after, or maybe we take a step forward towards love and we fail miserably, but at least we know. This has been like a looming question. It's been a weight that's been hanging within this person's heart of like, I need to experience something more with you. I need to grow beyond my comfort zone with you. I need to find out for real, like, is this something where we are a match made in heaven, or is this just some kind of karmic lesson? Like, either way, they're not able to outrun kind of coming back around to that understanding that there's something more, there's something deeper, there's something to be experienced here between the two of you. Like, these feelings haven't faded, they've not gone away, they continue to be very pronounced inside of them, maybe even intensifying the more they try to just justify to themselves that it's better to just keep things casual, it's better to just be surface level, or it's better to remain at a distance from you. They keep being drawn back to that reality of like, but maybe the best is something beyond that. And if you don't explore that, then you'll never know. We also have, I am on my way to you. Yeah, so this person's working through some fears of rejection, fears of being seen for who they are, fears of being vulnerable in the presence of another. It feels like they understand that you're a very intuitive, you're a very emotional person. You may be an empath, and so there's a sense that you can see right through the surface level version of them. You pick up on vibes. You might have even like reached out to this person when they were feeling really low, or, you know, without kind of them letting you know, sort of almost like your spidey sense went off, and there you were reaching out. there you were saying all of these things that were kind of like rolling around in their head, just the right words that they needed to hear in order to sort of change their attitude or their perspective. And that might have been something which felt very comforting, but it feels like it also freaked them out. Like, how are you so intuitive? How can you just see right through me, right through my masks, right through my defenses? How can you speak life into my soul? And so there's a sense that they've like run from that. They've pushed that away. There's a sense that they've never maybe had a connection with another person where there was a level of like acceptance for who they are and where they're at in their life, but also this kind of natural, almost like a reaction, like an energetic reaction between two people, where they felt compelled to kind of grow into a different version of themselves without being told, there's something wrong, you need to change, but just even in the ways in which kind of like relaxing into the fullness of who they are, and then that making them very self-conscious. So this is something where they've been fighting this, kind of the walls have come down, the walls have gone back up. And they know that they've been kind of playing a cat and mouse game with this situation, even internally, in terms of someone that may have really been kind of fighting an internal battle, fighting their demons about the situation, the inner critic kind of telling them like, you're not worthy of something or someone who's going to accept you for the mess that you are and the beautiful mosaic that you are. And they listened to that kind of disparaging, negative self-talk for a very long time as far as this connection is concerned. But it feels like they've taken their power back. They've taken the upper hand in this situation. And there's a sense of like, but what if this isn't something that like opens me up to the biggest heartbreak of my life? What if this is a circumstance that accompanies me as I allow myself to align with a better relationship with myself, with better circumstances outwardly, with not just kind of like wishful thinking about living one's best life, but the experience of that in reality, in actuality, not just as a single person, but in a partnership with someone else. And they're seeing you as the kind of person that can happen with. Okay, and we also have, I am not the same person. So they want to show up to you in a different way than they did before. They're trying to kind of create some sort of surrender or kind of restrain an aspect of themselves that didn't really feel worthy of love, could give a lot of love, but had a problem receiving, had a problem trusting in love at face value, or trusting that the intensity of the experience between the two of you are almost like a psychic connection, an energetic connection, or the ways in which you were able to kind of read into their deeper sort of thoughts and emotions beyond the words that they would speak or actions that they would display. They're trying to kind of get on top of fears as far as that's concerned. Fears that that's something, so different that it is a negative thing, or that it would just sort of set them up in order to be disappointed, that it's kind of an ability that you have to connect with them or to kind of read them that in some sort of way would be used as a tool of manipulation. So this is somebody that's getting brave enough to, really look you in the eye, to share those deeper feelings, or kind of speak on plans or intentions to create something more, something different, something better, something beautiful with you as compared to how they were showing up in the past. Yeah, we also have, you inspire me to do better. So this person is done kind of like pointing the finger of blame on the intensity of this situation, or the fact that they might have felt very cornered, or like there was nowhere to hide in your presence in the midst of this connection. They might like have felt your energy around. A lot might have been going on in the astral realm, in the dream space, and it's something where it almost felt very invasive to them. And so they took this and kind of put a negative spin on it, that you were sort of chasing them energetically, or the nature of the connection between the two of you, it was trying to engulf them in some way, and that if they progressed forward with you or stayed in connection with you, then it'd be something where they'd like lose themselves in a bad way in this circumstance, in the connection. And they're now at this place of almost like, but what if the opposite is true? What if this is something where this isn't a circumstance where I'm going to lose myself, or, I'm going to have the worst heartbreak of my life, but what if this is an opportunity to experience rising into love? What if this is that higher level love that I've been hoping for, that all the disappointments, all the people that I tried to, experience connection with in the aftermath of my experiences with you that don't even come close, don't even hold a candle to what we've shared with one another in the past? What if that's because you are somebody that models and is that light to magnetize me into a higher version of myself? That through doing the work, doing the healing, taking a different approach to this circumstance or to their relationship with themselves, not just giving that inner critic kind of free range and full license to sort of call the shots as far as how they're progressing emotionally, what they're aligning themselves with, the kind of connections that they feel worthy of, how they're showing up in those circumstances. What if they silence that inner critic voice, or they don't give it as much attention? They don't kind of take steps based on sort of that trigger, that fear response. There's a sense of almost like they're starting to look towards the light, towards the positive in this circumstance. What if this is, something that is the greatest opportunity for growth? What if you are that blessing that I prayed for? What if you are that earth angel that the divine has sent me to help educate me on the way that love should be, as opposed to what I've known of it up to this point in time? What I feel in that regard towards myself. You're definitely, they've taken things that you've said to heart. They've taken this experience to heart, and there's a sense of like, I don't want to waste any more time. I don't want to keep denying what it is that I feel. I miss you. I want you in my life. I want to come back around, and I want to do better than I did in the past. I want to become better so I can show up better for you. We also have, I am trying to impress you. Yeah, so there may be some substantial changes that they're making in terms of their habits, their lifestyles, the people they're hanging around with. Also that kind of idea of like self-talk, not feeling worthy of the love you had to give in the past, or, the nature of closeness between the two of you, that it's something that they might have almost taken it to be a negative thing, but they're seeing like you do respect their boundaries. You're not trying to like encroach on them energetically. You're not trying to like cling to them and just, make it all about you. And some part of them that was almost fearful of kind of the nature of this connection, or the ways in which you connect beyond the surface, might have felt very exposed in that energy, very like, okay, this person is able to reach me on a deeper level than all these surface level connections that I've known, and it feels weird and it feels uncomfortable, and like I don't know how to deal with that. I don't know how to show up in that capacity, so I'm just going to push it away, like a fear of the unknown. And this is somebody who has kind of turned the page in that sense. They understand that they've only been running away from a blessing in the form of you in this experience. It's something rare, and that is to be celebrated rather than feared. And so it feels like they're trying to come back towards you, not with some empty promises, but with a little more calmness inside of themselves, kind of grounding into themselves, a little more honesty with themselves and kind of their motives in the past. And again, like healthy changes that they may be trying to make or implement in their life, so that you see like they are trying to become someone better than they were when you were last dealing with them, or, better than they were yesterday. We also have, I miss our friendship. Yeah, so in addition to kind of the romantic feelings that they miss just talking to you about like ordinary things. They would value your wisdom and advice at this particular point in time. It feels like anything as far as changes that they're trying to implement, as far as like habits, lifestyle, even that idea of like the self-talk and kind of their perception of relationships and how they've been showing up, you're always in the back of their minds. So like, what would you think about this? What would you do? What's your take? What's your perspective on this? Does this feel like something that, would kind of make me feel better about myself? Would this raise my vibe? Would this kind of, bring in a better energy into my internal world, so that I'm able to have like better experiences outwardly? They miss kind of laughing with you about things. They missed your inside jokes. They miss the conversations that the two of you have had about very like specific things. And so there's a sense of like on all levels they want to resume contact with you. We also have, I have a gift for you. So it feels like this effort to kind of show up as a better version of themselves, or to, kind of exercise some tough love towards themselves at this point. This is a gift towards the future potential with the two of you. It's kind of like old keys won't open new locks. And so they understand that it's like they got to do something different here in order to be able to break out of the cycle, break out of the pattern, kind of come in from out in the cold in a way that creates momentum towards something deeper and more lasting. And there's a sense of beyond promises, beyond sort of, pretty fluffy words and anything that they could kind of like share with you that, like, I promise it'll be different, or I've changed. It's like they want that to be very obvious in how they're living their life, how they're talking, how they're, what they're focusing on, what they're surrounding themselves with, even the company they're keeping. They may be cutting the grass real low at this particular point in time, removing themselves from circumstances where there were people with just sort of toxic attitudes that resonated with like a mindset of theirs, a very fear-based mindset as far as love and connection is concerned. And there's a sense of understanding that like the company they've been keeping has in some way been like polluting their attitude towards love and connection, or making them feel like they couldn't be seen or accepted as themselves, that they needed to play games, that, relationships are a power struggle, and the one who is at least in love has the most power within the circumstance, kind of mindsets like that, that they're seeing has kind of cost them this situation. They've chosen kind of chasing empty connections or keeping their options open, as opposed to something real, something stable, something with, potential for growth and to become better, which is what they experienced in the past with you. And so there's a sense of like, if it's not too late, I hope that these efforts to change or to kind of be a better version of myself, I hope that this is enough to kind of get you to forgive me, or, give me another chance. Yeah, we also have I'm done running from this connection. So this is definitely somebody that wants to come in from out in the cold. They want to break the no contact. They want to reach out to you and not just repeat the same patterns, because they either like whatever's happened in the past, if they don't come in and having like changed their tune, there's a sense that you're just going to slam the door in their face if you even acknowledge them at all. But there's also a sense of, I've run from a good thing. The grass wasn't greener on the other side. And now I want to start to pursue what it was you were offering in the past that I wasn't ready to receive, or I didn't think I was worthy of receiving. Like, you've held space for this person. You gave them the benefit of the doubt. You poured a lot into this situation and they dropped the ball. They fumbled this connection. And so there's a sense of like, I want to make this up to you. I want to put in the effort. I want to chase new opportunity in this circumstance between the two of us, rather than just allow this circumstance to slip away. We also have you gave me that spark. So you are definitely, again, like their motivation, their inspiration, their muse during this time of change. There's a sense of them feeling like they've got one opportunity to redeem themselves. Either your patience has run thin, if you've had some back and forth with one another, or a sense of almost kind of like they've been out of your life for a while. And so there's a sense of like, if you're still available, if you're still open, if you're still, willing to kind of hear me out or see things from my perspective, I'd love the opportunity to prove to you that I'm not just promising it'll be different this time, baby, but that like I've really made changes so that I'm different inside of me. I'm living a different kind of life, and therefore there's a higher likelihood I can provide something different to you as far as that experience of love, of romance, of friendship, of presence, of deeper connection than I allowed us to continue to experience in the past. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got P, N, W, Y, G, V, K, G, A, B, H, T, Y, B, R, L, H, and L. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you'd like a personal reading, there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another video. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the red glass heart. So let's see, what does your person want you to know right now from their higher self? Okay, so we have the universe is fighting for our souls to be together. It feels like this person is getting a lot of encouragement from people on their side of the equation to make more effort in this situation. If this is somebody that has been overwhelmed or triggered by feelings that are surfacing, experiences with you, the pace and the momentum of things, it feels like they are seeking advice actively from other people on like how to deal with this. I'm hearing they're the one, so like she's the one or he's the one, and that may be something that is like a big revelation for them, and there's a sense of almost sacredness within that knowing of like, I have found my person, it feels right, and I don't want to waste any more time in doing what I have to do in order to protect this connection and to build towards something more beautiful and more substantial between the two of us. And that may involve sharing their feelings towards you with other people, bringing people up to speed as far as how things have progressed between the two of you, having other people sort of learn about you in a very positive way through beautiful things that they are saying about you, compliments that they're paying, ways in which they're, talking about you. There may be people in their life where they're like, they've asked them like, are you seeing someone? Something seems different. You seem happier than usual, or there's a little pep in your step. What's going on? And they've been kind of closed off about that. They've been very private. They've been very mysterious. They're starting to open up to these people like, actually, there is someone special. Actually, remember the person that I had mentioned. Remember that person that you met that one time, or the one that I had kind of suggested to you that I was interested in. Well, things are moving forward between the two of us, and I think I'm falling in love, or I think this person is the one. I want to make sure that I do things right. I'm hearing I want to make sure I do things right this time. So if this is somebody that's been like divorced, maybe a couple times divorced, they've had long-term relationships that have fallen apart. There's a sense of like they want to make sure that they don't repeat those same mistakes in this situation with you. And so they're trying to get some advice from other people about like what to do, how to kind of take the lead in this situation, and also trust with the ways in which things are unfolding very naturally between the two of you, to not close off their heart, to not run, to kind of not get so overwhelmed by the nature of what it is they're feeling, what it is they're experiencing. This is somebody that almost like sees eternity when they look in your eyes, even when they look at pictures of you, or like if you sent them little like videos, or you got like an online presence. There's almost like they watch you or they look at you, and there's a level of peace which surfaces within them that feels like you're their answered prayer. You're everything that they could want wrapped up in one amazing person. And there's a sense of disbelief that you're mine. That's my person. That's my everything. That's my destiny. That's forever right there. That is the most beautiful experience. That's the most beautiful human being I have ever encountered before. And I want to make sure I do everything in order to savor this moment, savor this experience, and to do what I have to do in order to bring you in closer to my reality and to open myself up to be shaped by your love in the best ways possible. And so that, for a lot of you, involves kind of, sharing that good news, or, with other people, or kind of maybe for some, this is somebody that's like, I'm thinking of going ring shopping. Can you, mom, can you help me with this? Sister, cousin, friend, brother, dad, like whatever that looks like, kind of like, what's your opinion on this? What's your advice on this? Maybe even asking people like, how did you propose? How did you know that they were the one? What did you do? How did you kind of like take things to the next level to try and sort of create like a very unique experience for the two of you in terms of like stepping beyond what you've been with one another up to this point in time into what they're hoping will develop between the two of you in a longer term sense. Yeah, we also have, I fell in love with you the moment I saw you. So this is somebody that definitely could be love at first sight, or like every time I see you, I fall even deeper in love. Every time that, I hear your voice, something inside of me responds to that. And it's more than just you logically, the words you say make sense, or I think you're funny, or you're quirky, or you're smart, or you're wise, or you give me reassurances, you make my ego feel really good. It's like their soul responds to you. There's a part of them which has been dormant, that has been asleep, that is activated in your presence. Every aspect of them yearns for you, like two magnets being drawn together. And there's a sense of them really trying to kind of make space within themselves for something that feels like a higher level connection, like a soul connection. They definitely could consider that like you're their soulmate. They may have told that to someone, or they're telling that to people, not just like, hey, I found someone that will put up with me, or, I found someone that I think, we fit really well together. We look really cute together. It, feels right. They may even be using those words like, I think that's my soulmate. This is somebody that makes me feel things I didn't even know it was possible to feel. This is somebody that when I'm in their presence, it helps to make my insecurities small. They help to kind of force me to look towards silver linings, or to really sit even within the frustration of moments where there are no action steps that can be taken forward. This is someone who sits with me in the midst of that. I'm free to be myself, but there's so much closeness between the two of us in a way that doesn't make me feel pressured. It doesn't make me feel like I want to act out or like I want to run from it. But it makes sense. This person feels like home. So they're trying to kind of anchor in to the 3D sense, something that definitely has drawn their attention toward higher level experiences of romance, emotion, and connection. Because there's a sense that like, if these feelings are so deep and so unique and so next level, then I want to do my part in order to make sure that our love story in the material sense is one for the books, is one that future generations or people in our lives now, or even strangers walking down the street, will look at us and not even know anything about our experience, but will just say, those are two people that are really in love. The glow that the two of you give off when you're with one another, it's noticeable. It turns heads. And that's something that has not gone unnoticed by them. And so there's a sense of almost like, I want to do my part in order to make sure that we have a unique experience with one another, because I want to align my life even further with you. I want to be with you to the end of my days. We also have, I can't take being away from you any longer. Yeah, so they want to take things to the next level. They want to take the next step in the situation with you. Maybe that involves inviting you home to meet family, introducing you to friends, asking you to move in with them. For some of you, asking you to marry them. This can be somebody who wants to spend the holidays with you. They want you to be the one they come home to at the end of the day. They want to wake up next to you. They want you to be the last thing they see before they go to sleep. They're thinking of all the different ways in which you can fit your lives together with one another, so that there is no reason to be apart from one another for more than you need to be. We also have I got triggered. Yeah, so it feels like this person is overwhelmed by the emotions that are surfacing within, especially if this is someone that has been married previously. There's a sense of kind of like, okay, I can't compare this situation with what fell apart in the past. I can't compare it with, that other person or who I was in that circumstance. It feels like this is somebody that recognizes that they've got like wounds in love, they got trust issues. Maybe you got wounds in love, you got trust issues. Maybe you both have a lot of the same things that you're bringing to the table, a lot of the same junk that's kind of floating around inside, in the midst of the circumstance, in your kind of emotional bodies. And so there's a sense of like, I don't want to let that stop this. I don't want to let that derail all of this. I know I will never meet someone like you again. You feel right. I've known that from the moment that I met you. And I want to do what it takes in order to almost like be the knight in shining armor that sort of like takes the upper hand over any fears that they have. Fears that like this situation will turn out like other disappointments they've experienced, or kind of a sense of like, I don't want to build a life with someone only to have it come crashing down. Somebody that may have kind of been very selective as far as who they bring into their life. They may have been single for a long period of time, or they've, been very kind of stringent as far as how they've vetted out potential partners. They don't open their heart easily to people, and you've gotten into their heart. You've opened that heart space without even meaning to. For some, like right from the moment that they met you, all those defenses came crashing down, and so they've been trying to kind of reconcile that with some kind of protectiveness within the ego. It feels like that was like, wait a minute, slow down, don't get carried away in this circumstance. And now they're in a place of like, this feels right, this feels good between the two of us. I don't want to lose what we have. I don't want to kind of ignore this potential here in this circumstance because something with someone or multiple people in the past failed to live up to my expectations, or it just wasn't the right fit, or I wasn't the right person for them. We brought out the worst in each other, whatever that circumstance or those types of circumstances might have been. There's a sense of almost like this feels right with you on so many levels that they're trying to kind of get everything into alignment with them. Mind, body, and soul. They want everything to be in that kind of green light energy. And so that's where it feels like kind of outside people in their life, friends and family. It's sort of like, okay, let me get another set of eyes on this. Let me get some perspective. Let me get some advice. Let me kind of share this with other people in order to get, it feels like a lot of confirmations, a lot of sort of reassurance that it's okay to be overwhelmed and scared, because that means that this is something real, that this is something deep, that this is something beyond just like fleeting and surface level experience. So it feels like they're kind of being coaxed or even coached to kind of like take things slow, honor that fear within, but to really fight the important battle of not letting that fear win and kind of sabotage the potential between the two of you. They also say, I have a surprise for you. Yeah, so for some of you, this is somebody who's like going ring shopping. Maybe you've sent them suggestions, online, and they're like looking at those. They have them saved in a little folder somewhere, and they're like looking at their finances, trying to crunch numbers, see if it all adds up. For others of you, this is the sense of kind of like getting ready to make that big confession, confess those feelings, tell you I love you, ask you to move in with them, kind of talk about those long-term plans, those intentions, the idea of like, I see forever with you, but we are here in this moment. So let's create a step-by-step plan that certainly, the universe will have us deviate from, because that's just the nature of life and reality. People make plans and God laughs, as the saying goes. But there's a sense that it's like they want to kind of ride those ups and downs, or those waves with you, all of that potential. They want to face that unknown with you by their side. And so it feels like for a lot of you, they're getting ready to make that declaration to you in some way through like a conversation, a gift, some kind of gesture, or even an invitation. We also have, I see things differently now. Yeah, so there's a sense that like they don't see anybody else romantically. Everything that they might have held inside very heavily, guilt and regret about like previous marriage or marriages that fell apart, long-term connections that they thought it was the one, they thought that it had some staying power, that they were doing everything right, and then it still fell apart. They might have carried a lot of guilt about that kind of made them cautious not wanting to leave a trail of heartbreak behind them, not wanting to be a player, not wanting to get themselves in situations where they were just setting themselves up for heartbreak and disappointment again and again. And you're helping this person to kind of forgive themselves for the past, leave the past behind, and really focus on this moment, this opportunity, the chance to build something real with you. I also have, I am not blind to the signs, I do see them. Yeah, so this person might have prayed for signs, prayed for guidance, kind of like, God, if this is the one, let me know. And it feels like those signs have been very overwhelming. It's been very loud. It's been very like, they can't ignore it. Everything is a green light. Everything says yes. They're getting a lot of reassurance from the spiritual realm, and also from people that are close to them, that are important to them, whose opinions that they value and respect, are looking at this situation as almost like neutral people. They don't have like an opinion about this situation one way or another, other than the fact that this is like a friend or a loved one for this individual. And they're looking at this, they're listening to the stories this person is telling, they're seeing the way that this person glows after they've spent time with you, the way in which they just seem brighter, like their outlook is brighter, they're more hopeful for the future, their head's not hanging as low, they don't have such a doom and gloom attitude anymore towards love, or even just kind of a dark cloud that's been hanging over them in general. And this is something that they can all credit to time spent with you. Since you've come into this person's life, since things have, gotten more serious, there's been a marked improvement in how this person's able to show up in other areas of their life. So there's a lot of support that this connection is getting at this point that is really providing this person with a lot of reassurance that it's right to take the next step with you. We also have, I hold back because I don't want to be rejected. Yeah, so again, this is somebody that kind of, if they were married before, or they've had like a major heartbreak from the past, there's a sense of almost like they want to be really sure before they make that commitment. They want to be really sure, before they kind of invite you in to their life even more, or open their heart. There's almost like they want to make sure that emotionally they are a safe space for you, because they don't want to let that woundedness kind of get your hopes up and then let you down. They don't want to, be that person that's like hurt people. They don't want to like unintentionally or in a clumsy sort of way kind of leave wreckage in your life or in your heart, because you mean so much to them, you matter to them, they see a future with you. So this is somebody that's like readying themselves to be that safe space, to be that leader in this situation, to stand by you in this circumstance of love and in life in general, in a way that breeds consistency and staying power and a lot of potential for beautiful experiences between the two of you moving forward. Yeah, they also say, I do pray about us. So there's that confirmation. They're praying for guidance. They're asking people for advice. They're trying to get some inspiration about, like a special date, a special location, a special experience where they want to have a deep conversation, maybe where they want to propose, where they want to talk about future plans. They, want to become serious with one another, attach titles to this circumstance, whatever that looks like for wherever you're at with this person. They're wanting things to evolve, not stagnate between the two of you. They see a long-term future with you, and they don't want to miss out on the opportunity just because of fear or wounds from their past. So let's get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got O, J, Q, S, D, W, Z, U, R, W, M, M, P, P, V, E, A, and I. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you'd like a personal reading, there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another video. Please take care and be well.